Hey there. In a world that feels, well, pretty chaotic, what if there was a tool to cut through all that noise? Well, there is. And today, we're diving into the basics of logic.
I mean, just think about your day. How many things have you already seen today? Headlines, social media posts, ads, you name it, that are all trying to convince you of something. It's like a constant barrage of information, right? It's a lot.
And that's really the heart of the problem. It feels like we're just drowning in arguments all the time. How are you supposed to know which ones are solid and which ones are, just full of holes? How do we even begin to sort through it all?
Well, what if I told you there's a framework for this? A system you can use to actually test these claims and see if they hold up. That framework is logic. So let's get into what that really means.
Okay, so when you hear the word logic, don't picture some boring, dusty old textbook. It's not just for philosophers. Think of it more like a super practical toolkit. It's basically the science of good reasoning, and its whole job is to help you tell the difference between an argument that's actually solid and one that just sounds convincing.
All right, so let's pop open this toolkit. What's the first thing we find inside? Well, it's the most basic building block of all, the argument. And look, when we say argument in logic, we're not talking about a fight or a yelling match. Nope, it's a structure. It's just a series of statements, we call them premises, that are supposed to support another statement, which we call the conclusion. So it's really a simple two-part deal. You've got your premises, that's the evidence, the why, and they're all there to back up the conclusion. That's the main point, the what. That's it. If you can find those two parts, you've basically mapped out the entire argument. Okay, great. So we know what an argument is made of. But how do we know if it's a good one? That's the real question, right? Well, logic gives us two key ideas to help us figure that out: validity and soundness. So anytime you come across an argument, whether you're reading an article or talking to a friend, there are really two crucial questions you need to ask. Think of this as your quick go-to test.
Question 1. Are the reasons they're giving you, the premises, actually true? That's all about the facts, the content. And then question 2, does the conclusion they're making actually follow from those reasons? This one's all about the structure, the form. And these two questions, they lead us right to our key concepts.
Validity is all about the structure. It's like having a perfectly built house. A valid argument means if the premises were true, the conclusion would have to be true. The structure is solid. But soundness, that's the gold standard. A sound argument is one that's valid, it has that perfect structure, and all of its premises are actually factually true. That's what we're aiming for.
All right, so we know what a good argument looks like. Now let's talk about the fun part, spotting the bad ones. Because honestly, one of the best ways to get good at this stuff is to learn about the common mistakes. In the world of logic, we call these fallacies.
Fallacies are basically errors in reasoning. They're these little traps that make an argument seem way better than it is. Sometimes people use them on purpose to trick you, and sometimes it's just a mistake. But either way, they totally undermine the logic of an argument. So let's look at some of the biggest culprits.
First up is a classic, one you see all over the internet, the ad hominem. This is when, instead of dealing with the actual argument, someone just starts attacking the person making it. It's a total diversion.
So, take this example. Notice how it doesn't say anything at all about their strategies? It's just name-calling. That's a textbook ad hominem. It completely ignores the point. Okay, next up is the straw man. This one's sneaky. It's where you take what someone else said, twist it into something weaker or more extreme, and then attack that twisted version. It's like building a scarecrow, a straw man, and then bragging about how easily you knocked it over. You didn't fight the real opponent.
So if someone says this, see what's happening? They're not talking about the actual economic argument someone might have. They've just created this evil caricature that these people hate the poor, and they're attacking that instead. That's a straw man.
All right, ever hear an argument that goes from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds? That's probably a slippery slope fallacy. This is where someone claims that if we take one small step, it's going to lead to this huge, crazy chain reaction of terrible events with no way to stop it.
Think about this one. Whoa, right? That's a huge leap. It connects banning one specific type of car to banning all cars without any evidence to back it up. It's just trying to scare you.
And let's look at one more, the either-or fallacy. You might also hear this called a false dilemma. This is where someone takes a really complex issue and boils it down to just 2 extreme options, making it seem like you have to pick one when there are actually tons of other possibilities.
So when you hear something like this, that's a false dilemma. It completely ignores all the middle ground, right? Like electric cars, better public transit, all that stuff. By forcing this dramatic all or nothing choice, it kills any real discussion about actual solutions.
So,
Okay, we've talked about what logic is, what arguments are, and we've even looked at some of the most common ways they can go wrong. But let's bring it all home. Why does this actually matter for you?
Because this isn't just theory, it's super practical. This toolkit helps you make way better decisions because you can actually weigh the evidence. It helps you communicate better because you can build your own arguments that are clear and strong. And maybe most importantly, it gives you the power to look at that fire hose of information we talked about and actually sort the good stuff from the garbage.
So here's my challenge to you. As you go about the rest of your day, just listen. Listen to the arguments around you, on the news, online, everywhere. Now that you have this toolkit, now that you know what to look for, what's one argument you're going to see completely differently?